Fleece on charges of possession of unlicensed firearm and racketeering, and keep her in custody unless she assisted with an investigation against Paul O'Sullivan. Now, charge 4 is even worse, because charge 4, the same warrant officer Flock was charged with, in that on or about the 29th of November 2017, and at or near Brooklyn, in the regional division of Gauteng, the accused had wrongfully and intentionally performed the following acts: deposed to an affidavit that the docket under Alberton Cass 799/11/2012 was stolen, and that he had to open a duplicate docket for purposes of investigation. And whereas the accused, when he acted aforesaid, well knew that he signed for the original docket, and that by opening a duplicate docket, he intended that his actions would have the following results or consequence: that a different decision be made than what was initially decided by the prosecution, and thus so doing the accused defeated or obstructed the administration of justice. In fact, that docket was a case that was opened against myself and one of my staff. We carried out the investigation in 2012. And that investigation was for a deceased estate. And the allegation was that the person of interest had stolen 6.5 million rand from the deceased estate. And during the course of our investigation, we had cause to go and visit the person of interest to say that, look, we have these allegations, we'd like to get your version of events, and if you didn't steal the money, it's fine, but if you did steal the money, maybe you should put it back, because you would face criminal charges. So, as I mentioned to you earlier, if you're investigating criminals, quite a lot of them like to think, oh, I can get this guy off my back, I'll open a counter investigation. So he opened a docket in Alberton in November under that number 799/11/2012. And that accused person alleged that I had said to him, if you pay me 3 million, we'll let the case go away. But he was a bit silly, because I had one of my staff with me, a forensic specialist was with me, a lady by the name of Melissa Naidu. And as a standard procedure, we tape recorded the discussion. So nothing of the kind was said. So I did a warning statement because the investigating officer of the case from Alberton Police Station phoned me and said, listen, this guy's opened a case against you, we need to get your statement. So I said, no problem. And I went and I gave him a copy of the docket we'd opened against that person of interest, alleging theft of 6.5 million rand. And the prosecutor took a decision not to prosecute on the docket the counter investigation that had been opened against us. But Flock wasn't happy with that. And he worked with another prosecutor, and they took a decision based on a new docket that had been created on the basis that the old docket had gone missing. Meanwhile, it hadn't gone missing. They were able to get evidence that he'd gone and taken that docket and made a sworn statement saying that the docket had been stolen. In fact, in his sworn statement, he alleged that I'd stolen the docket, but he'd forgotten that when he went to the police station, he refused to sign for it. And they said, no, you must sign. He said, then you must phone the commissioner, which at the time was General Pashlani. They said, no, if you want me to sign for it, you must phone the commissioner. And the guy, instead of phoning the commissioner, he just entered on the system that this fellow had come along and taken the docket and refused to sign for it, but it was on the system. So now they knew he had taken that docket.
Yes, then in the annexure that follows at 143.
Yeah.
Your sworn statement, you then also catalogue
I catalogue everything in detail. So we talk about this this fellow Flock. And then if I go to page 146, because obviously anybody can read the whole thing, but I just want to
I just want us to
highlight the important areas. If I go to page 146, paragraph
46 to 156.
146. Page 146, paragraph 9. I've said Cretchit shot Jackson dead on 2010-05-03 at Smith's house rented in Kempton Park, and together with the corrupt general in crime intelligence. And the importance of this is very important because I found out who that corrupt general was, and I opened the docket against him. And his name is not mentioned in here. I think he's deceased now. His name was Joey Mabasa. So then what happened was this fellow Cyril Beaker was murdered. Then we go to page 148, paragraph 14. I explain in detail here where General Muno fits in the relationship with Radovan Krejcir. And we talk about the undercover agent who was arrested with the people that were trying to kill me on the 9th of January, 2014. So they walked into a trap. They were all caught. Now, after that, I explained the link between Flock and Muno, because at the time, Flock was working in Muno's offices. And if you go to paragraph 18, which is on page 149, I subsequently got a statement in 2016 from who was then a policeman, a warrant officer or captain, I can't remember, at Hartbeespoort Dam. His name was Gijsbert Coetzee. And he gave me a statement in October 2016. And the statement is available if anybody wants to see it, but it says, in or during late 2014, I was working what was then known as the National Intervention Unit. This is a group of detectives that operated under direct control and management of then Divisional Commissioner for Detectives, Lieutenant General Muno. It was whilst working under Muno that I first came across Warrant Officer Flock. I could see that his conduct in late 2014 appeared to be directed towards finding any information he could find that would incriminate Paul O'Sullivan in any crimes at all. It was not as if there was a specific complaint. It was more like he was on a fishing expedition. I say this because he asked me several times if I could help him find any dirt on Paul O'Sullivan. I made it clear that I'd previously worked with Paul O'Sullivan's office and he was professional at all time. Now, we had done an investigation in plus minus 2011 or 2012 involving an attempted murder or shootings. And that took place in the policing area near Hartbeespoort Dam. And that was my first dealings with him, this fellow called Coetzee. He was the investigating officer of that case. And the person that had not been murdered but believed he was going to be murdered had come to us and asked us to help. So this then led to me meeting Coetzee, and Coetzee then gave me the statement.
So Mr. O'Sullivan, these are all catalogued.
Yes, it's very well catalogued. And if I go now to page 155.
So you then at one stage, and we started the interaction, cataloging the difficulties, problems that you were experiencing in the period after 2011 into 2014, 2015. And these are all contained in these documents. And they are dated and signed almost contemporaneously during that period. So it's not documents that you have now constructed after the event.
No, in fact, Chairman,
And then you were also then forced, as you described, you were forced into exile because of threats on your life and so on.
no, I wasn't forced into exile, Chairman, no. What happened was
But you went back to the UK.
No, I go up and down all the time. I didn't go back to the UK. That was in 2006.
Oh, was earlier.
Yes.
Okay, then I'm mistaken.
In 2006, I got intelligence that I was going to be murdered. And then after a while, nothing happened. And then I got further intelligence that they were planning to kill my family.
Yeah.
So I moved the family out. Now, what took place round about this time was I had opened the docket in 2015, in March 2015, against Duduma Eni, the then chairman of South African Airways. And the docket I opened against her resulted in a raid being carried out on my offices at the instructions of Muno by this fellow warrant officer Flock. They had a search warrant and they seized my computer, and that took place on the 15th of April 2015. So I launched an urgent application and I had the warrant set aside, and the court issued an order that my computer had to be handed back to me, and that if they had any copy of any information that they downloaded from my computer, that it must be destroyed. But unfortunately, they didn't comply with that order. So in fact, what they did was they copied my computer, handed me back my computer, and then kept the copy and started going through it to look to see if they could find something that they could use. It's what we would call the fruit of a poisoned tree. And in this process of going through my computer, they then came up with a whole lot of dockets against me. But the witnesses, or the complainants, whatever you want to call it, in the cases against me, were criminals that we had investigated and we'd opened dockets against in the forensic practice. And now suddenly, all the people, and I said, well, this is very strange. The first incident that took place.
So none of these cases went to court to be prosecuted.
Oh, yes.
And there were no successful prosecutions against you.
They went to court. So what happened was, the first case was on the 1st of April, 2016. And I was on the way to fly to London. And I had two of my children with me. And their ages at that stage were 8 years old and 9 years old. And just after boarding the plane, as the doors were closing, there was a bang, bang, bang on the door. And the door was opened. And I know because I was sitting very close to the door. And they opened the door. And it was the police. And they said, no, we have a warrant of arrest for Paul O'Sullivan. He needs to get off the plane. Now, I've got an 8-year-old and a 9-year-old daughter with me. So I said, no, let them fly. I'll get their mother to meet them at the other end. And they said, no, the airline said,
I wanted to check maybe that the evidence.
Adult. They'll have to come off the plane with you.
And the warrant is in relation to which matter?
They didn't have a warrant. They lied.
Yeah.
There was no warrant. And then after
you asked for them to show you the warrant.
I asked them to show me.
And you're sitting on the plane?
Yes. And they couldn't show me the warrant.
And the doors have closed already?
They've opened the doors again. So the doors were closing. There was a knock on the door. And they opened the door.
And this is an international flight?
This is the South African Airways flight to London.
Yeah.
So By this stage, my 8 and 9-year-old daughter was sitting comfortably in their seat across the aisle from me. And they've got their little coloring in books and they're busy coloring in as children do. And now suddenly I'm dragged off the plane with my 2 children. And after we get dragged off the plane, and remember, we've gone through passport control. So we've gone out of the country already, but they insist on taking us back through passport control to stamp us back into the country. And then in front of my children, they put handcuffs on me. 8-year-old and a 9-year-old daughter. And then they assault me in front of my children. Then I call my wife to come and collect the children. After I call my wife to come and collect the children, my wife came there. Then they took my phone off me. And then they took the children away. My wife took the children away. Then they took me at 230 kilometers an hour to Pretoria Central Police Station. And they kept me in a rat-infested cell with excrement and sewage running across the floor. I couldn't sit down because there was no chair in the cell. There was nowhere to sit. And there's all this raw sewage on the floor. And I was kept there until the following afternoon. So it's now the 2nd of April. This is all very well documented, by the way. Extremely well documented in court papers. Because then what happened was I was moved from Pretoria Central.
These court papers you're referring to are the court papers in the application brought
Yes.
for your release?
Not at that time. So what happened was, Chairman, after this, I was moved to another police station. And then I was moved to another police station. So they kept moving me. And the last police station I was at was Kempton Park. Now, the 1st of April in 2016 was a Friday. So I ended up at Kempton Park Police Station on the Monday. And my lawyers have now come there to bring an application for bail. And I'm told that I'm being charged with a breach of Section 26B of the Citizenship Act. In that, I used my Irish passport.
Honorable James.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, please help me understand. We brought this witness before us here today to respond to allegations that has been made by all the previous witnesses, like we have seen with all our other witnesses. They came here to respond to that. Mr. Paul O'Sullivan has come here today and basically pushing his agenda of all his success stories that we have to listen to here in the entire day. Not responding to anything that was leveled against him by any of the other witnesses. We are sitting here today listening to his success stories and dancing according to his music. Until what time do we intend sitting here when he has back issues and he has to leave at 7 o'clock? Tomorrow we're never ever going to get through the statement. This is a book that he has given to us based on what he thinks we should hear. And we're not here to be sitting and listening to him all day and night for 2 days. We're here to probe the allegations that's been leveled against him. For how much longer are we going to allow this? We can't have this. I'm looking at this long index that he has given us, miscellaneous matter, taxpayers fund for Japan, all this stuff. He's sitting here, most of the stuff isn't relevant. We don't want to know about his journey in life. Courts. Thank you.
Honorable Skosana.
Yeah, at last, Chair. I just want to anchor Honorable James as well. When I raised my hand, Chair, because I remembered the 7 o'clock, so I didn't want you to close before I say this to Mr. Also Sullivan, that all what we have, this bundle which we are having here, please, tomorrow, Chair, we need to have evidence. Because there's a lot of, I don't want to put it there, let me put it nicely. There's a lot of nonsensical papers on this thing. We need evidence tomorrow, Chair, not what we were traumatized last week. We can't be traumatized going forward from now, Chair. We need evidence, not gossiping, evidence. Thank you, Chair.
Muhalak.
Chair, I think that we might want to blame the witness, but the evidence leader is responsible for all of this. Because the evidence leader must be able to refer the witness to a relevant paragraph. And if the witness takes forever, the evidence leader who knows that I'm working within a limited time must be able to remind the witness. And she was doing that earlier on. And then now we're back to the same problem we're having here in this committee. So please, the evidence leader must lead. I mean, Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, everybody, if you are given a platform to speak, so if the evidence leader is not going to interrupt him and say, no, come back here, we're here, let's proceed this way, he's just going to speak. It's like we're in a podcast now.
Advocate Arensa.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, the terms of reference of this honorable committee relates to police misconduct, political interference. The evidence thus far, and it is evidence, it's not a story made up by the witness, that resulted in the successful prosecution and conviction of a former National Police Commissioner. In the last while, and yes, it has also quite frankly annoyed me a bit because it's taken too long. Because I've tried to push Mr. O'Sullivan to summarize or just refer us to a document where his own experiences are summarized, and it is on the record, and the honorable members may not be interested in it, but they can read it for themselves. This is as a result of him lodging several cases, opening several dockets against senior police. What we have just heard is one wouldn't wish it on anybody. It's the most egregious, or one of the most egregious acts imaginable. Is sitting on an airplane with your children, police officers coming on board without a warrant and hauling you off an aircraft and putting you into a cell. Now, there is nothing that indicates that this is not what has happened. But we will tomorrow attempt to curtail what is left of Mr. O'Sullivan's affidavit so that we can conform to the time restrictions that we do have. Thank you.
How much time do you want tomorrow?
Are we going to start slightly earlier, Honorable Chair? Or are we starting at 11?
We can make that determination if we know how much time do you need to conclude the presentation.
We would need at least 3 hours.
It's not going to be possible. Let me tell you why I say it's not going to be possible. If we are going to finish at 19 hours tomorrow, it means we are going to start allowing members to ask questions at 2 o'clock. And that is 5 hours. It means only 10 members of this committee are going to speak, unless if the members agree that the alternates will not have anything to say tomorrow. Because if you divide 5 hours by 10, it means you allocate each member 30 minutes from 2 o'clock until 19 hours. Those will only be the 10 members of the committee which will speak. Honorable Nomvalo.
Yeah, no, Chair, I'm very worried.
Yeah, I
After
wanted
listening
to check. I'm happy that the
reaction of
evidence
the
leader is now
evidence leader. I
referring.
think it's being defensive because, yeah, we're trying to help the situation. And if he responds like this, it means tomorrow we're going to face the same situation. Chair, we've been saying this on numerous occasions, and it's on our terms of reference, that this session, this committee belongs to members, not to the evidence leader. The evidence leader has taken more than a day from 11 o'clock. We're complaining about his pace because his role here is to lead evidence. And he can apply many mechanisms to ensure that he moves at a very fast pace. Now he allows the witness to speak and to dwell on peripheral issues which are not even related to questions that have been asked by him. That is what we are reprimanding, Chair, to say he is not giving proper guidance to a witness. And that is why we're chowing a lot of time. So he must not do that. At least, Chair, he must be given an hour tomorrow, not 3 hours. Because there are members here, we don't want to be told that we have limited time tomorrow. We also want to make a submission, Chair, that let's go back to a proposition that was made by Honorable Mateus and Honorable Sols, that our time must not include questions by a witness. Because we've got a lot of interest on the witness before us, and we think that we require more time for our questions. So our 30 minutes must not include his responses, because you can see how he responds. So if our 30 minutes includes his responses, it means we might spend 5 minutes and he spends 25 minutes because he gives long answers to a greater extent which are peripheral and out of context. So it must not be defensive, Advocate Arenze. We are not doing justice to us as members of this committee, and we are encouraging you to improve. This is not an attack. You must view it as a constructive criticism. Thank you.
Honorable Malema.
Thanks, Chair. We support 1 hour tomorrow for the advocate, because you can't have a day and a half, and then we have a half, and then still go around and say this is our committee. It can't happen like that. That is lack of consideration. He must do his work in such a way that he also allows us to do our work. We allow Mr. Paul O'Sullivan to answer the way he's done. If he takes his time and allow him to do what he's doing, it can be on us. His time is exhausted today. Tomorrow is our day. We're giving him an hour, then from there we're coming in. The story that Mr. O'Sullivan is telling us about his achievement is for today because he's speaking alone. We are coming tomorrow. This thing of telling us achievement ends today. Tomorrow we're going to have to answer the allegations that were made against him. So we will make sure he's going to answer those allegations that were made against him. Tomorrow is our day, please. 1 hour is enough to summarize leading evidence, and then we must also have an opportunity. We can't look for Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. When he arrives here, we are being denied an opportunity to question him because a process being deliberately prolonged to an extent that when our time comes, we don't have an opportunity to ask proper questions because we are being rushed. Thanks.
Do we still have members who want to speak before I close the meeting? Okay. We are going to start at 10 o'clock tomorrow. The presentation of evidence will be concluded by 11 o'clock tomorrow. 1 hour will be allocated. And then we are going to allocate full members. Each of the full members will have 40 minutes, and the alternates will have 15 minutes. That will be the order of proceedings tomorrow. And each of the members will be responsible for keeping their own time. Once we allocate, we start the clock. At the end of 40 minutes, the next speaker takes the microphone. There is nobody who will be blaming the chair to say, it's like you are sleeping on that chair. Once you see that it is your time to speak, you just say, Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, look at me, it's me now. Then you ask questions. I want to thank you so much, honorable members, for your patience. It has been a very long day. Thank our evidence leaders. Thank you once again, Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, and the staff of Parliament and the staff coming from political caucuses and members of the media. We have come to the end of today's proceedings. We want to thank those members of Parliament who have come to join us here and supported us all the way for the better part of the day. We also invite you to come back tomorrow if you are available. Members,
I'm very sorry to do this. Can we, I don't know how fast can we get that? Can we get AXA to give us the advert of that position? Because it's a public document. Surely it must be somewhere. Our secretariat or the legal team must go and ask in between now and 10, where is the advert of the position Mr. Paul O'Sullivan occupied? Because it's very important. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul O'Sullivan.
Chairman, am I to understand that instead of coming here to give evidence, I've come here to be interrogated on allegations made against me by criminals? Is that why I'm here? Because if that's why I'm here, I'm going to withdraw my cooperation. I'm not going to assist in a kangaroo court. I came here to give evidence about the corruption in the criminal justice system, which has resulted in the mess that we have in the criminal justice system today. And the false allegations that have been made against me will take, I don't know, a lot more than an hour to go through. And if it's going to be curtailed because people don't want to hear the truth, it means what we're actually doing is we're not allowing a witness to explain why this happened and why that happened. What I cannot contemplate is that everyone should think, oh, I woke up one day and decided to infiltrate IPID and infiltrate the police and infiltrate the National Prosecuting Authority, because that pack of lies has been peddled in this House by multiple witnesses who belong in prison. And because I've taken steps, as I'm entitled to do according to the law, to ensure that they face up to the criminal charges that have been opened against them, not just by me, but by others as well. It's imperative, in my opinion, Chairman, that the full story be given, not half the story, or I didn't come here just to defend myself against the allegations of these criminals. And if that's the only thing that this committee wants to hear, it's a problem, because the reality is that those allegations were only made against me because I took steps to hold them accountable for their criminal conduct. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, let's do like this. Our Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, our dearest witness, we have invited you here to come and have a conversation with you. And yourself, together with the evidence leaders, have been given an opportunity to make a presentation before the committee. This committee is made up of members of parliament, and they have given you an opportunity to make a presentation. But you also have more opportunities tomorrow when individual members will be asking you questions for you to clarify whatever you may want to clarify, or to give more information that you may want to share with them. The proceedings in this committee take that form. First, you deposit a statement, and then second, the evidence leaders will come and lead you here in the presentation of the statement. And thirdly, the members are going to pose questions to you. And when you respond to those questions, it's part of presenting evidence before this committee. The presentation of evidence is not one-legged, where the evidence leader just leads you and you present. And when the next thing, when we wake up tomorrow, you have taken 2 days presenting evidence. So you must not be worried. You are going to be afforded enough time tomorrow to respond to the questions that the honorable members are raising. If there is anything that you want to clarify, you will clarify during that time when you have that opportunity. So don't be worried that you will come here and leave. If there are allegations made about your involvement in IPID, whoever asks you about those allegations, you say, let me tell you what happened at IPID. This is what happened. Then you explain. If somebody says there were the following allegations, like Honorable Malema requests that the advert must be brought here. In case there is something found in the advert which you will not have shared with us today, they are going to ask you those questions to say, but this advert required the following as minimum qualifications. And you have said to us that what you have is a higher certificate in electronics. How were you a suitable candidate? And then you explain the way you know it, or how the decisions were arrived at. And look, I still believe in your courage. You know, when you say to us that I will withdraw my cooperation. I'm looking at you, and when I look at you, you are old enough to be my father. Yes. I'm 51 years old. I will be 52 in April, and you are 70.
I would have been a naughty teenager.
So listen to me, my elder. As the chairperson of this committee, I want to learn best practices from you. We must learn the best values from you. There is no pulling out here. We work this together, and because we have very much faith in your abilities, in your skills, in your experience, we will expect you to lead us tomorrow until we reach the finishing line. So let's cooperate. We are young. We want to learn from those who have experience. We want to learn from the best like you. So help us to walk this path. As a belief.
Chairman, if it was a simple matter of my involvement in one or two little things that happened over 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, we are talking about 36 years that I've spent fighting crime in this country for the benefit of all the people in South Africa. 36 years of my life must be now condensed into 1 hour. Or the things I only want to focus so that this from exposing their corruption, right down to the people that came and sat there and lied through their teeth about my involvement in capturing IPED or
On a
capturing
point
the
of order,
prostitution service.
On a point of order.
Yes, point of order taken.
You know, Mr. Paul, when we started here, you tried those things with us of wanting to tell us how we must conduct our business. You're not the first witness here. We've been running this process and running it smoothly and in a respectful way. So you're not going to come here and disrespect us and say we want to give you 1 hour to tell us your side of story of fighting crime for 36 years when we've given you the whole day and we are adding another hour the following day. The same way the chairperson is pleading with you, we're pleading with you to respect us.
10 tomorrow.
At 10.
1 hour will end at 11. So we have 2 hours before lunch.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much.